What's up guys, I'm Vocal Strike and welcome to my new Let's Play of Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution. Link Evolution, I am using a separate account because I did not want to, restart and lose progress and everything else since I did unlock a bunch of cards. The reason why I'm doing this Let's Play is because I am actually a fan of strategy card games. I absolutely love strategy card games. But I also know that there are card games out there that are complicated, like really, really complicated, to the point to where it is a bit intimidating for new players to try to get into a new card game altogether. So the purpose of this Let's Play is to help walk people through a game like Yu-Gi-Oh! And try to help simplify the rules a bit. And even without my help, I still recommend this game for newcomers because this actually does walk you through how to play the game and it doesn't throw everything at you at once. So, and of course naturally we are going to be playing through the campaign. There are a total of 6 campaigns in all. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains. We are going to be doing this in order from oldest to newest. So, let's get started with Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters and Yugi's Journey. The very first duel of every single campaign is always going to be a tutorial duel. However, you do not need to play this as a tutorial if you don't want to, if you already know how to play the game. You can press the triangle to play this as a normal run-of-the-mill duel, just like all the others. But we are going to be playing this as a tutorial so that I don't have to explain nearly as much, and it does help simplify things. The Duelist Kingdom. Loading Yu-Gi-Oh! Histories. The story of Yugi Moto begins at Domino High School, where Duel Monsters, the hottest card game in the world, was all the rage. Yugi is the best duelist around, and his friend Joey wanted desperately to learn how to duel as well. So our history of Yugi Moto starts with Yugi teaching the rules of Duel Monsters to Joey as their friends Taya and Tristan watch. Hey Joey, Earth to Joey, it's your turn. I will also be explaining like some of the differences between the subbed animes, the dubbed animes, and the mangas as well, so that this is a little bit informative. I did actually just start reading the manga not too long ago, so I haven't gone through all of it. Yeah. From left to right, it's Tristan Taylor, Yugi Moto, Joey Wheeler, and Taya Gardner. Joey's however, their names are slightly different. Their names, except for Yugi's, is actually different if you watch the Japanese version or read the mangas. Joey's Japanese name is Jonouchi. I could be totally butchering that. Tristan's name is Honda, and Taya's name is Anzu Mizaki. We don't actually see what Joey and Tristan's Japanese last names are. Isn't he cute when he's thinking? Hey Tristan, Yugi here's teach me how to play Duel Monsters. Drooling Monsters? Duel Monsters, you Nimrod. They've been at it for hours. Joey's starting to get the hang of the game, but Yugi's like an expert. Okay Yugi, it's time to duel. Now, this duel is before Yugi gets his Dark Magician and Joey gets his Red Eyes. Wow, what a stirring intro. INF and 8, Infinite, sure can spin a tail. Greetings, duelists. I am Informate. I am for M8. You kind of see what they're doing here. Part of the virtual game simulator. I have been programmed to teach you proper dueling rules and best practices. So let's get started and walk you through the basics. In this scenario, you will be taking on the role of the legendary Yugimoto, facing off against the not quite as legendary Joey Wheeler. I will also be covering rules that the game itself is not going to mention. In the start of a duel, both players start with 8,000 life points. The winning condition, there are a couple of winning conditions. 1, your opponent forfeits. 2, you run out. If you forfeit, you lose. 2, if you run out of cards to draw during your draw phase, you lose. And 3, if your life points drop to 0, you lose. So naturally, the goal is to wipe your opponent's life points out down to 0. Drop your opponent's life points to 0 and you win. It's as simple as that. A deck consists of anywhere between 40 and 60 cards. 40 is the minimum, 60 is the max. Along with an extra deck, but we'll be getting into extra decks and side decks later. First, let's learn how to summon a monster. Monsters are summoned into the monster zone. Monsters can be summoned in attack position or set to the monster zone in defense position. A monster in attack position is placed vertically, and a monster in defense position is placed horizontally and face down. Let's set a monster. Select the dragon dwelling in the cave, set it in the field in defensive position. Every single card is different. Again, we'll be getting into these a little bit later. But right now it wants us to set the card, so let's set the card. Now let's open the phase menu and select End Phase. A battle consists each turn consists of a total of 6 phases. From left to right, it is Draw Phase, Standby Phase, Main Phase 1, Battle Phase, Main Phase 2, and End Phase. The Draw Phase is the phase where you draw your card, unless you are the person going first, in which case, if you are going first, you do not attack first and you do not draw the first card. Standby Phase is to determine, is to basically check the field to make sure certain card effects are activated. Main Phase 1 is where you set and summon cards. You can play spell cards, set trap cards, set monsters in defense, summon monsters in attack position, etc., etc. This is basically the phase where you basically do most of your placing and strategizing. The battle phase is when you want to attack with your attack position monsters. You do not trigger the battle phase on the first if you are going first. Main Phase 2 is basically for those in case you haven't summoned a monster yet, or, if there's still something you want to do that you haven't done yet in Main Phase 1. And End Phase is, of course, to end the turn, as well as also trigger certain effects. Each phase can also trigger effects, but again, we'll be getting into those later. Each player also starts the duel with 5 cards in their hands. A Blazing Apache, fairly strong card. Congratulations, you survived your first attack. You might have noticed that Joey attacked you and wound up hurting himself. Let me explain what happened. When a monster attacks a defense position monster, the attacker's attack value is compared to the defender's defense value. If the attacking monster has a lower value, the attacker's owner takes damage equal to the difference. If the attacking monster has a greater value, the defending monster is destroyed. Next, we will play a spell card and trap card. These cards are played in the spell and trap zones. Green spell cards can be played right away, but most can only be played in your main phase 1 or 2. You can also set it and activate it at a later time. If you set any card, be it spell, trap, or monster, you cannot flip it face up on the same turn you set it. You will have to wait till your next turn or until your opponent activates something that warrants you actually flipping over the card. Note that most spell cards cannot activate on your opponent's turn. Each monster has attack points and defense points. This is where math generally comes in. Like it's stated, if an attacking monster attacks a defense position monster that has higher defense points than the attacking monster's own attack points, the owner of the attacking monster takes the difference as battle damage. Alternatively, if my dragon was in attack position, since Blazing Apache's attack points are stronger, my monster would have been destroyed and I would have taken the difference between the two attack points as damage. If a defense position monster is destroyed by battle because the attacking monster's attack points is higher, the owner of the defense position monster does not take damage at all. So let's play the Banner of Courage. All monsters you control gain 200 attack points during your battle phase. Pink trap cards can be activated on your turn and during your opponent's turn, but you must set them face down on the field first. You cannot activate a trap card in the same turn that you set it, but you can activate it any time after the start of your opponent's turn. Let's set your trap called the Haunted. Now let's get ready to attack. Let's switch Dragon and Dwelling in the Cave to attack position. Now let's summon Ningen Dog in attack position so you have another monster that you can attack Joey. Joey in this duel, if you know anything about like the mangas and the anime, is that this very first duel, his deck isn't exactly good. As a matter of fact, Joey's deck doesn't have any spells or trap cards at all. They're all monsters. So even if you play as a normal duel, you really have no reason to lose this, because you have the advantage with spell and trap cards. Our attack is all set up. Let's switch to battle phase and attack. Since we are no longer going first, we are actually free to attack and draw in the draw phase. And because it's the battle phase, Banner of Courage will activate. Attack Blazing Apache with your Ningen Dog, naturally. If an opponent does not have any monsters, your monsters can attack your opponent's life points directly. Let's do this. When your monster attacks an opponent directly, attack Joey directly now with the Dragon Dwelling in the Cave. If your monster attacks your opponent directly, they take all of the attack points as battle damage. Case in point, he just took 1500 points of damage because our monster has 1500 attack points, thanks to Banner of Courage. Now let's end your turn. When you flip over a defense position monster to attack position, or you change a defense position monster to attack position, you cannot change their positions until your next turn. So whenever you summon a monster or switch a monster's between attack and defense position, you are committed until your next turn. And because it's no longer the battle phase, Banner of Courage's effect no longer stays active. Joey doesn't stand a chance. Let's clean his clock. On this turn, you will summon another monster. Up until now, you have only used level 4 or below. In order to summon a monster that is level 5 or 6, you must tribute one monster. Sending a monster on your side of the field to the graveyard to summon a high level monster is called a tribute summon. Let's tribute summon Gravacrush Dragon now. Every single monster, with the exception of Xyz and Link monsters, all have levels. Levels 1 through 4, monsters that are levels 1 through 4, you can normal summon without the need to having to tribute any of your other monsters. Levels 5 and 6 requires one tribute in order to normal summon. One tribute one monster in order to normal summon. Levels 7 and higher, levels 7 to 12, requires 2 tributes in order for you to normal summon. So, let's summon Gravacrush Dragon. As you can see, you must tribute one monster to tribute summon this monster. Let's choose Ningen Dog as your tribute. The tutorial duels are more or less scripted. If you play these as normal duels, they will play just like as you would any average duel. Also, every single duel starts with a shuffled deck. Oh, if you read the card description on the left there, you can see your Gravicrush Dragon has an effect you can trigger. Let's do that now. You can send one face of continuous spell card you control to the graveyard, then target one monster your opponent controls and destroy that target. There are two different types of regular monsters: normal monsters and effect monsters. Let's use Gravicrush Dragon's effect and send Banner of Courage to the graveyard to destroy Joey's face down card. Normal monsters are marked as normal and have a lighter color on their card. Effect monsters are more of a darker orange and says the word effects on the card. Effect on the card. This was not always the case with normal monsters. The normal monster colors were always the same in the older releases of the game. But they never said normal if you played the older games. You basically just had to go off by, oh, I don't see an effect on this card. Now they just straight up tell you on the card that this is a normal monster with no effect. So in place of an effect text, it is given flavor text instead, which in this case, Dragon Dwelling in a Cave is a huge dragon dwelling in a cave. It is horrible when it gets angry, although it's usually quiet. It is said to preserve certain treasures. Certain card effects, you also need to pay attention to what they say. This will be important later. So, let's target Banner of Courage to destroy it, to sacrifice it, send it to the graveyard, and destroy his face down monster. Now let's change the effect of Call of the Haunted to bring back Ninkendog from the graveyard. Okay, chaining card effects. We're getting into this pretty soon. There are going to be certain game mechanics that are just born to be complicated. I'm going to try to simplify them as best as I can. And try to explain them as best I can. They are naturally complicated, so I'll explain them as best I can, try to make it as simple as I can, but that's really all I can do. Chaining card effects. Basically a chain. A chain is only triggered at the response of a card effect, be it a spell, trap, or monster. If a monster is summoned or is attacked, you could activate trap cards or attacks. You could activate trap cards in response to those, but they are not considered a chain. It is not considered a chain link. So, for example, say that you attack with a Blue Eyes White Dragon that would have won you the game. Your opponent activates Mirror Force in response to that attack. Because it was from an attack, it is not a chain. It is not considered a chain. But in response, you play 7 Tools of the Bandit, which can negate the activation of Mirror Force and destroy it. Mirror Force is then a Chain Link 1, and 7 Tools of the Bandit is a Chain Link 2. As Yugi states in the anime, in the Grand Championship arc, the card that goes first goes last, and the card that went last goes first. Played last goes first. So, in that scenario, in that example, 7 Tools of the Bandit would activate. You would pay 1,000 life points to activate its effect. Mirror Force would be negated and destroyed, and your attack goes through. Now, naturally, these chains can all be stacked on top of each other, so long as you have card effects that can trigger for it. Since we activated Gravicrush Dragon's effect, Gravicrush Dragon will now be a Chain Link 1, and Call of the Haunted will be a Chain Link 2. I've seen Chain Links go up as high as Chain Link 4, but I've never seen them go any higher. Certain card effects will also only activate during like very specific chain links. Like you can only activate this card on chain link as a chain link 4, for example. Generally those cards are never seen played. At least I've never seen them. So let's activate Call of the Haunted. And choose Ninkendog as our only target. Now let's chain Rush Recklessly's effect. Rush Recklessly is in your hand, but can be activated immediately because it is a quick play spell. There are multiple different types of spell and trap cards. There are 3 different types of trap cards: normal traps, continuous traps, and counter traps. Normal traps, when they're activated, are usually sent to the graveyard upon activation, after their effects are resolved. Continuous traps are kept on the field until they are destroyed via a card effect, for example. And a counter trap is generally a trap cards that are played in response to another trap activation. So like in the case with 7 Tools of the Bandit that I used in the example earlier. The different spell cards are normal spells, field spells, continuous spells, quick play spells, ritual spells, and equip spells. So there are a total of 6 different spell cards. Normal spells are sent to the graveyard upon activation. Continuous spell cards, like what you saw with the Banner of Courage, stays on the field until it is sent to the graveyard via card effect. Quick play spells can be played from your hand as part of a chain link, or you can set them as trap cards and activate them as trap cards on your opponent's turn, which is why they are quick plays. Field spells go into your field spell zone over here, and they stay on the field until they are destroyed or replaced by another one of your own field spells. Each player can have one field spell on their respective sides of the field, but both of their effects will affect both players, since they are field bonuses. Some field spells will gain like point buffs. Others provide certain effects. Equip spells stay on the field and you equip them to the appropriate monsters that is stated on the card. If the monster is destroyed or the equip spell, the spell card stays on the field until either the monster is destroyed or the equip spell is destroyed. If the monster is destroyed, the spell card goes with it. Ritual spell cards we will get into later. So let's activate Rush Recklessly. Target one basic monster on the field and it gains 700 attack points. Let's go ahead and use that on Gravicrush Dragon. Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2, Chain Link 1. As you see, that's how a Chain Link works. Now we're ready to attack. Going into Chain Links as well. After this, I will also be talking about what a spell speed system is, and I don't fully understand it, so I'm going to try to explain as best as I can the way I understand it. But let's go ahead and attack and end this duel. Gravicrush Dragon, go. Go Ninkendog. And go the dragon dwelling in the cave. And you win. What? A card that powerful totally wipes me out. Whoa, you stink at this game, Joey. You did fine, Joey. I just have better cards. My grandpa owns a game shop, and I get all my best cards from him. Your own game shop? What are you waiting for? Let's go. In Season 0 and in the manga, Joey, Tristan, and Taya all knew that Yugi's grandfather owned a game shop for a while, and actually have visited on several occasions. Okay, maybe I can even get my grandpa to show us this super rare card he's got. Little did they know that someone was listening in on their conversation. Someone who was looking for a very rare card to add to his collection. Every time you win a duel, you unlock the next duel in that campaign. You can also unlock what's called deck avatars, as well as deck recipes, plus signature cards and random cards. Duel points are also used in the card shop to buy packs. So I think that's a nice introduction to Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a decent sized episode since there was a lot to cover. After all, this is teaching you how to play the game. So in the next episode, we will go into the next chapter in this campaign, the Heart of the Cards. Thanks so much for watching, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode.